What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know.
Apparently, on the sidelines, Steve Smith had some words in reference to the encounter he had with Jeudy. Now, I'll just say everything was allegedly, but gentlemen, let me ask the question. What are your thoughts on Steve Smith's comments? And do you think that it's okay for a member of the media to air their grievance on air? I'll start off with you, Dante.
You know, I saw this clip and I loved it because I thought about a little bit of myself within this moment, because y'all know how I do. But I mean, here's the thing, right? Two things can be wrong and also two things can be right in this case. The one thing that I did want to call out with Steve Smith is that if you wanted to apologize to him, why did you say what you said on your show anyways? That's what I'm a little confused about. It's like you said all that stuff and then now you get in person and act all tough and want to say, oh, I want to apologize now. So I think he was a little bit out the wrong for that. But then it's kind of like on the other side of that, respect your elders kind of thing. Respect the guys that have done it before you, especially at a high level. I mean, by raise of hands here, who thinks that Steve Smith is a Hall of Famer?
I think borderline. I'm gonna give you a half. I'm gonna give you the borderline. I'm gonna give you that Donovan McNabb treatment.
Okay, but for his size, he played. You know, if he was bigger, faster, and all that stuff, he would definitely have numbers that were Hall of Fame worthy. Right now, Vic thinks he's borderline. I think he gets in there in a couple ballots, but.
Well, for one to talk about players, he wasn't one of the best teammates. He was always getting in fights in practice, always making his opinion known when it wasn't really needed. So I don't know why Smith is out here quick to judge others, but I digress.
Yeah. So, I mean, how I truly feel about it is I think 40% is on Steve Smith. I think he was in the wrong. You know, if you want to apologize behind closed doors. You said what you said, but then also Jeudy's got to man up and accept the fact that, like, yeah, you haven't been the healthiest, which we're not going to blame your health on you. But when it's time to step up, there's no reason why, you know, you're doing this in your career thus far with the quarterback that you do have there now. He's going to get you the ball. You got Cortland Sutton there. They gave you every opportunity to step up because a lot of these guys have been hurt. KJ Hamler's not even on that team anymore. Cortland Sutton's always hurt. The plethora of tight ends that they've had over the years. So, I mean, take the bull by the horns at this point in time. Learn from your mistakes. And I mean, Steve Smith did it every single year. So, you know, he knows what it's like to play at a high level, regardless if he had that chip on his shoulder the whole time. If you compare Steve Smith's career to Jerry Jeudy's career, it's not even close. I mean, at their point in time in their careers, of course, but that's just how I feel, man. I mean, I think they're both in the wrong. I don't think Jerry Jeudy should have been acting like a child either. So, but that's just me.
Sora, what are your thoughts? What did you think of Steve Smith's comments? And do you think that it's okay for a member of the media to air their grievance with the player live on air?
So I can see kind of where it is right and wrong for both. I don't think it should have been said on the air. Because at first it did lead off to like a, hey, you know, he did the civilized thing of walking up to Jerry Jeudy being like, look, I know I said some things, all that stuff on his podcast, blah, 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 blah. It escalated, obviously. If you haven't seen the clip, find out what Jerry Jeudy said, because I cannot say it for obvious reasons. And then, yeah, you know, Steve Smith was a little ticked, aired his grievance out. So, yes, there's a little bit of blame on that. Obviously, you know, that was not kind of the place, especially with the at the end where it's like, cut to the studio, I'm done. Go back. Why are you so go to the studio? Stuff like that.
I ain't gonna lie, I love every bit. I loved every little bit of that.
For it. I didn't.
That was a little D-cell coming out of right there.
I didn't think majority of the blame needed to be on Steve Smith because Jerry Jeudy did not help. One, you have had a very lackluster career so far. Granted, we can't always blame it on your health. You've had some terrible quarterbacks, though. Russell Wilson's looking a lot better this year, so this should be the year where you have been fully healthy so far, and your quarterback actually is back to not back, but is showing signs of looking like his old self again, and you just have not been able to do it. Once again, Tim Patrick's hurt. Cortland Sutton, he's always hurt. KJ Hamler's not even on the team. So you are the guy, and you were a first-round draft pick. You were the first wide receiver taken off in your wide receiver class with guys like CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Justin Jefferson. You were the first guy out of all of those guys, and you have not lived up to your first-round potential. Steve Smith kind of knows what he's talking about. He was kind of one of the only analytics to say, hey, this Cooper Kupp dude, he's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Look what happened with Cooper Kupp. And again, he's also the leading receiver in Panthers history of receiving touchdowns, punt return touchdowns, and receptions as well, I think.
For real? Punt return touchdowns?
And return
Ooh,
touchdowns, yes.
I didn't know that.
Okay, so he is the all-time leader in receiving yards, receptions, touchdowns, and return touchdowns. So he is the wide receiver for Carolina. He was their guy.
It was Muhsin Muhammad, then him.
Yeah.
Shout out to Moose Muhammad that's playing for Texas A&M, by the way. His son.
That is true. And he's had 7 1,000 yards season. He is a Hall of Fame finalist. Now, whether or not you want to say he is a Hall of Famer, I think he is. I think he should be in after a couple of ballots. If you don't, it is what it is. But he kind of knows what he's talking about with wide receiver. And Jerry Jeudy hasn't proven him wrong yet. Especially when they're all sitting at the I don't know the full name of it, but basically the long table, they're all sitting there, and you see Jerry Jeudy just dancing behind the camera, like behind Steve Smith. That's not helping your case. Yeah. That was after the interview too. So Jeudy found word of that and then decided to make it work. This should have been the game where you bring out all the stops. You go all out and be like, shut up, old man. But you just kind of laid down and did nothing, proving him right. You did not help your case at all there, my man.
Mm-hmm. What you think, Vic?
I don't know. I think that, whatever happened between Jeudy and Smith should have stayed between Jeudy and Smith. If Smith had an issue, like Sora said, Jeudy was right behind him. That was every opportunity for Steve Smith to turn around and ask for a quick, one-on-one on camera so that they can discuss that. But what Steve Smith did was he made some comments about Jerry Jeudy and then wanted to retract them and apologize for them. Now, that's showing you're a bigger man. But at the same time, if that person isn't, they're receptive to your apology, then you got to take it on the chin and keep it pushing because you're the one who put yourself in that position. Then for you to go out like a child and then, talk again, go out there and basically badmouth him when he doesn't have a way to respond. There's no way for him to rebuttal. He didn't, like I said, he was behind him. He didn't ask him to come on to try to get his comments. Steve Smith just went on and besmirched his name. If you're talking about a professional and you're explaining how Jerry Jeudy needs to be a professional, Steve Smith should take a page out of his own playbook and learn how to be a professional himself because that wasn't professional at all what he did.
Yeah. I mean, I like Steve Smith. I've always liked his attitude. I mean, it just is what it is. I can relate having a chip on your shoulder and all that and treating everybody as competition regardless of their status. But like, it doesn't look good for the network that you represent. It doesn't look good for football in general when the guy that literally is in your profession that possibly looked up to you doesn't look up to you anymore. Out of everything, I think players like him probably could learn from the fact of like, if you want to help out, help out. If you don't, then kind of keep your mouth shut until, because Jerry Jeudy could turn his career around with all the trade rumors and stuff that are going on. Don't let this man go to another team and then just totally show out and go off and have these career numbers and get people where he needs to get teams where they need to be at. We're always willing to say about the system for everybody, but everybody else that's on the team. We always say that about quarterbacks.
It's always the system when it doesn't help your narrative.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, what if Jerry Jeudy goes somewhere and it's worth whatever pick he came out in the draft, above all those receivers like Sora said? What if he actually
10.
So the 10th overall pick, What if he plays up to that stature? What if in 2 years Jerry Jeudy's the best wide receiver in the league? Then what does Steve Smith have to do? I mean, what I think, knowing him, he's probably going to take credit for kicking him in gear or something like that. You already know that's just how he is. Yeah, finally, I said that because I knew he had the potential to be good.
My bad.
He's gonna try to take all the credit for it.
But this is the issue when you transition from being a player into a media personality. Now Steve Smith has to look at these other players, how they're going to look at him. I saw the way you talked to Jerry Jeudy on the side. Now, so if I don't give you any comment, are you going to talk trash about me? So going forward, when Steve Smith wants to interview some of these guys, maybe they might not be open to speaking with him now.
Yeah.
Yes, but also in reverse of that, now GMs are not going to want to speak with Jeudy because he said during that clip, like the next time a GM talks, like, hey, should I, blah, 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 look at this guy. Because apparently GMs still call these guys. That's what he has revealed, that GMs will go up to Steve Smith and ask, hey, what do you think about this guy? So he has a complete power to say, no, not worth it. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword there of, players will no longer want to talk with Steve Smith, and GMs will no longer want to talk with Jerry Jeudy because of each other.
Yeah, that's a great point too. I mean, when you think about it like this, I think Steve Smith really doesn't have anything to lose, right? I mean, he's already done what he needs to do. Does he really need these networks? No. I mean, he's in a profession where he's made millions of dollars at this point. He's living happy. He's an analyst. He could get fired and not care the next day and just go on his podcast, and that'll be the other stream of revenue that he's doing. So there's always outlets and people that are going to listen to him. But on the other side of that, Jerry Jeudy has to learn to kind of keep his mouth shut because yes, there are teams that are looking at him, and there's a lot of trade talks that are coming up. Why hasn't he been traded yet? If he's such, people would be the first ones to say Jerry Jeudy and all these guys are up on the trade block. Well, why wait to the trade deadline? Why not get him on the team and have an immediate impact right now? It's because people don't really need him right now until somebody gets hurt. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Well, I think there are teams that could use his services. I think the issue with Jerry Jeudy is his injury history. That scares you away because what are we going to do when we're going to trade for someone who could possibly be injured in the next week or so? The Eagles, a team who just picked up Julio Jones, they needed a slot wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy fits in perfectly. They say he's one of the best route runners in the NFL. It's a deal that could have been done, but they haven't made a move. And I really think that's because a lot of teams are scared of his injury history.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, and yeah, that's if you are hiring a 30-year-old Julio Jones over Jerry Jeudy, when everybody knows, like everybody goes back to the clip of Quez Watkins losing 2 yards on the easiest 1 yard gain ever. And you go, clearly third receiver is a need. We have the ghost of Julio Jones or Jerry Jeudy. Now, if it is a price thing that is different, but we know, like, again, just using Howie as an example, because the Eagles did recently just sign a wide receiver, price is not that big of a deal, especially with how he's played. And you're telling me you'd rather go with, again, the ghost of Julio? Something ain't adding up here.
Yeah. It's a tricky situation because, like I said, Steve Smith doesn't have anything to lose.
And it could have been so easy.
But Jerry Jeudy does, especially in this market right now. I agree with you, Vic. He got to just learn to shut up. I mean, take your lumps. People are going to talk. People are going to talk, man. Has he not learned this? Like, you were at the ultimate level of your career right now. Nobody can really say anything. And if veterans are talking, just let them talk. Or reach out to them and be like, dude, if you see something, this would be me, to be honest. Put the ego to the side. Let's say that I was playing quarterback in the league right now. Let's say if I was Brock Purdy and I came back and I had a crappy year and I got Kurt Warner or somebody reaching out to me, criticizing me, I'd reach back out to Kurt Warner and be like, can you help me get to the next level? I understand your criticism, but can I come train with you? Do you have a trainer in mind that, you know what I'm saying, that could just help me out and mold my game in the way that you think I can be? Because right now, I understand your criticism and I respect you as a veteran and a Hall of Famer. And I would expect somebody of your caliber. I take your criticism not with the grain of salt, but with the whole bag at this point. I need to get better.
I think my biggest issue with Steve Smith is we all know the situation Jerry Jeudy's been in. He's been in a bad organization. He's had to deal with injuries. He's had to deal with bad play from the quarterback position. Now, there's a narrative against him. And again, we're talking about trade rumors. He's at a point where most likely he's frustrated. He just wants his way out of Denver. And then here you have Steve Smith, who goes on a national stage and then said what he said about him. Put the narrative even worse for Jerry Jeudy. Look at it for him. He's probably like in a position where he just wants to get out and, like you said, just prove that he's a good player. Then you have Steve Smith say these words because, again, he has no way of responding. There's no way for him to rebuttal. That just hurts his case even more. I think Steve Smith should have just seen that as the side of the player and know how difficult it is for a player and not did what he did.
Yeah, for sure. I think we beat this horse pretty dead, man. I mean, it's what we're all trying to say. It's a gray area. And
it's an intriguing horse.
Yes. And one side, you have a young guy who hasn't played out his whole career yet, and he just needs to stop being a baby and just grow up and just let Steve Smith do his talking. That's it.
Yeah. And no matter how old you are, man, immaturity always pops up. It goes on both ends. If they were more mature, this would have been a different situation.